I want to tell you something I wish someone had told me when I was 20. You are not your thoughts. Do you? You're the thinker of your thoughts. You're the programmer of your mind. And every single day, whether you're aware of it or not, you are either programming yourself for success or for failure. Let me explain. When I was younger, I believed that my mind was just how it was. That some people were born confident and others weren't. Some were motivated, some were lazy, some were optimistic, others just had a realistic outlook, which is often just a socially acceptable form of pessimism. I thought I was stuck with whatever thoughts showed up in my head, but then I learned one of the most important lessons of my life. You become what you think about. Most of the time, your mind is like a garden. You can plant beautiful flowers, or you can let weeds grow wild. But either way, something is growing. Every word you say, every image you imagine, every belief you repeat is a seed. And those seeds, they compound. Let me give you a story. I was about 24 years old, struggling, still working as a dishwasher. One day I met a man who was incredibly successful, owned multiple companies, traveled the world, and had a calm confidence that I couldn't stop watching. After talking with him for just 20 minutes, I asked, "Excuse me, but how did you get to where you are?" He smiled and said something I'll never forget. "I fed my mind with ideas that matched the life I wanted. Then I let those ideas control my actions. I didn't understand it then, but I went home, opened a notebook, and wrote this at the top of the page. I am the master programmer of my mind." That sentence changed my life. I started to treat my mind like software. Every morning I'd read goals aloud. I'd write affirmations. I'd listen to motivational tapes. I'd rewrite negative beliefs and replace them with empowering ones. At first, it felt forced, but slowly my self-image began to shift. I stopped calling myself broke. I started calling myself a future millionaire in training. I stopped thinking I'm not good at this and started thinking I'm learning fast, and I always figure things out. I stopped saying I'm tired and started saying I'm energized and focused. And do you know what happened? My behaviors changed. My opportunities changed. My entire life changed. Here's what I learned. Your mind doesn't care whether what you say is true or false. It simply believes what you tell it most often. If you say I can't, your brain shuts off. If you say how can, your brain opens a file and starts working on the answer. It's called reticular activation. Once your brain believes something is important, it starts to filter the world to match it. Tell your brain you're not enough, and it will find evidence. Tell your brain you're powerful, capable, and on your way, and it will prove you right. So the question becomes, what are you telling yourself every day? Because repetition is the key to reprogramming. Affirmations, visualization, journaling, reading goals aloud, listening to positive audio, surrounding yourself with people who reflect the mindset you want. This is not cheesy positive thinking. This is mental software engineering. If you want to become unstoppable, you must take control of what enters your mind, because your outer world is always a reflection of your inner world. Want to make more money? Start seeing yourself as someone who creates value and deserves wealth. Want to get fit? Start seeing yourself as an athlete. Want to be confident in business and love in leadership? Begin with the image you hold in your mind. Every thought you think, every word you speak, it's either moving you forward or holding you back. You are always programming your mind, so choose your code wisely. If you take away everything I've ever taught, every seminar, every book, every success strategy, and ask me to give you just one idea that changed my life more than any other, it would be this: clarity is power. Let me ask you a question. Right now, do you know exactly what you want? I'm not asking what your parents want for you. I'm not asking what your boss expects. I'm not even asking what society says you should want. I'm asking, what do you really want? Because I'll tell you the truth. Most people never stop to decide. They drift. They react. They go to school, get a job, pay the bills, chase weekends, and then wonder why they feel stuck. But successful people, they are crystal clear. They know what they want. They've written it down. They visualize it. They speak it. They move toward it every single day. Let me take you back to a moment in my life when I was lost. I was about 25, still broke, still confused. I had changed jobs 5 times in the last 2 years. I'd tried sales, warehouse work, construction, you name it. I didn't know what I wanted, and I felt like a failure. Then I read something by Napoleon Hill. It said, the starting point of all achievement is definiteness of purpose. I realized then my biggest problem wasn't lack of money, education, or luck. It was lack of clarity. So I did something simple. I sat down with a blank piece of paper and asked myself, if I could have anything, do anything, or become anyone, what would it be? I wrote for hours. I dreamed without limits. It felt strange at first. Who was I to ask for more? But the more I wrote, the more alive I felt. I imagined a life where I could travel the world, speak to millions, build companies, help others succeed. A life of purpose, wealth, freedom. Then I did one more thing. I chose just one goal, the one that lit me up more than any other. I wrote it in bold letters and put it on the wall. From that moment I had a North Star. Every decision became easier. If it moved me closer to the goal, I said yes. If it didn't, I said no. That goal became the organizing principle of my life. And here's what happened. Within 12 months, I had tripled my income. Within 3 years, I was teaching others how to set and achieve goals. Within 10 years, I had spoken to hundreds of thousands. Not because I was smarter, not because I worked harder than everyone else, but because I knew where I was going. You see, the mind is a goal-seeking organism. When you give it a clear target, it goes to work, filtering opportunities, spotting patterns, attracting people, generating ideas. But if you don't know where you're going, every road looks the same, and most of them lead nowhere. Clarity brings energy. Clarity creates momentum. Clarity activates the law of attraction. So today, I challenge you, sit down in silence. Ask yourself, what do I really want? Write without limits. Pick one major goal that excites and scares you. Make it specific, measurable, time-bound. Write it down every morning. Visualize it every night. Because here's the truth. You can have anything you want, but you have to know what it is. If you're vague, life will be vague in return. But if you're clear, bold, and specific, the universe starts to move. You don't need to know how you'll get there. You just need to decide where you want to go, and the path will begin to reveal itself. There's a belief that ruins more dreams than failure ever could. So there's the idea that success is random, that it's reserved for the lucky, that is handed out to the few, that it comes by chance, not by choice. But let me tell you something I've learned, not from theory, but from decades of real-world experience. Success is not a matter of luck. It's a matter of law. That's right, success is predictable, like gravity, like sunrise, like seasons. If you do what other successful people do, consistently, you will eventually get the same results. It may not happen overnight, but it will happen. When I discovered this, it changed my life. You see, I used to believe success was for other people. People with connections, with degrees, with good looks or natural talent. And because I believed that, I behaved like a victim. I made excuses. I waited for breaks. I blamed circumstances. And as a result, nothing changed. Until one day, I asked a simple question. What if I just copied what successful people do? I stopped thinking of success as luck. I started treating it like a recipe. If you bake a cake and use the same ingredients, in the same amounts, in the same order, under the same conditions, you get the same cake. Every time. Well, success works the same way. Want to be healthy? Study healthy people. Want to be wealthy? Study wealthy people. Want a great relationship? Study great relationships. And then model their behaviors. Not just their ideas, not just their beliefs, but their daily disciplines. Because success is built in layers. It's not a single decision. It's a series of repeated choices. Let me give you an example. Early in my career, I met a top salesman. He was making 10 times what I was earning, with the same leads, same product, same company. At first, I thought he must be lucky, or charming, or connected. But when I studied him, I realized something shocking. He simply followed a system. He prospecting every morning for 2 hours. He rehearsed his pitch every night. He kept meticulous notes. He read sales books every week. He listened to audio programs during his commute. While the rest of us were winging it, he was refining it. It wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It was method. And when I copied him, my income doubled, then tripled. Success leaves clues. Follow them. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just find someone who has what you want and do what they do. There is a science to success. It's made up of habits, routines, mindsets, systems. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes discipline. Yes, it takes persistence. But if you stay the course, you win. And here's the best part. If success is predictable, then failure is too. If you procrastinate, avoid responsibility, hang around negative people, and waste your time, your results are predictable. But if you plan your day, control your inputs, take responsibility, and improve just a little each day, then your results are equally predictable and powerful. So ask yourself, what do successful people in my field do that I'm not doing yet? What habits do I need to adopt? What distractions do I need to eliminate? What plan can I follow, starting today? You don't need to guess, you just need to observe, apply, repeat. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of when. If I had to name the single most important quality for success, more than intelligence, more than talent, more than opportunity, it would be this: self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to make yourself do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. That's it. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest lessons most people ever learn, and it's the only way to achieve long-term success in any area of life. I've taught millions of people around the world, and I always say this: discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. You can have dreams, you can write down goals, you can visualize, hope, and wish, but without discipline, nothing happens. Let me tell you a personal story. When I was in my early 20s, I was broke, living in a small room, working long hours and labor jobs. I had no direction, but one thing saved me. I discovered personal development. I started reading biographies of successful people, and I noticed something. No matter what field they were in, whether they were writers, entrepreneurs, scientists, or athletes, they all had one thing in common. They trained themselves to do the hard things, especially when they didn't feel like it. They got up early. They worked when others rested. They kept going when it got boring. They pushed through pain, fatigue, fear, and doubt, and they succeeded. So I made a decision. I will become disciplined. I started small. I woke up at the same time every day. I made a to-do list and followed it religiously. I read every single day, no matter what. And I forced myself to finish what I started. It was difficult at first, but over time, discipline became my superpower. It gave me an edge. While others hesitated, I acted. While others got distracted, I stayed focused. And that made all the difference. Let me ask you something. What would happen if, for just 30 days, you practiced iron self-discipline? You worked on your goals every day, without fail. You avoided time wasters and distractions. You did the most important thing first every morning. You finished what you started every single time. Imagine the compound effect of that kind of commitment. Here's the truth. Everything you want is just outside your comfort zone. And discipline is what takes you there. Want to get fit? You need discipline. Want to earn more? You need discipline. Want to write a book? Start a business? Change your life? You already know what you need: discipline. Now you might be thinking, but Brian, I'm not naturally disciplined. Neither was I. Discipline is not a trait, it's a muscle. And like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. Start with the small things. Get out of bed when the alarm rings. No snooze. Make your bed, clean your space, plan your day the night before. Set one clear priority and finish it. These little victories matter. Each time you do what you should do, instead of what you want to do, you build your character. Each time you win the battle with yourself, you grow stronger. And over time, your self-discipline becomes unshakable. And that, my friend, is the key to freedom. Yes, discipline creates freedom. The freedom to live on your own terms. The freedom to say no to distractions. The freedom to earn what you're worth. The freedom to shape your future with your own hand. Without discipline, you're a prisoner of moods, cravings, impulses. With discipline, you become a master of your fate. So from this moment forward, repeat this to yourself every day. I am disciplined. I do what I must, whether I feel like it or not. You don't need motivation. You need discipline. Because discipline creates motivation. And once you master that, there is nothing you cannot achieve.